Hello and a warm welcome to this video on the second Venus moon gate. Both the moon and Venus are in the sign of Libra, and they're conjoining there at the moon gate on the 5th of September. And the chakra that this will be concerned with is the sacral chakra. Okay, let's get right on with it. I think it's useful to get some information on the sacral chakra before we discuss Venus's position there and what that might mean. So, the sacral chakra is part of the chakra system of the body. There are 7 main chakras, some others, but let's concern ourselves just with the main ones at the moment, from the root chakra to the crown. The sacral chakra is the second chakra, so slightly above the root, which we looked at last time in Venus's last moon gate. It's positioned a few inches below the navel and just in that part of the body, just below the navel, perhaps as little as 5 centimeters below. The colour of the chakra, if it's healthy and well, is orange, which is a nice dynamic mixture of the red of the root and the yellow of the solar plexus chakra, which is the next one as we go up. So it's the colour orange. The note that this chakra resonates with is D. So I do recommend a very good way for just restoring, healing, balancing the chakra is to tune into one of the many chakra singing bowl videos there are on YouTube. And they take about 10 minutes. And it's a lovely retune for you. So I would very much recommend that. But what does this chakra, what is it concerned with? Well, it's incredibly important. It is the seat of creativity in us. It is the seat of fertility, of sexuality and sensuality, of pleasure, of beauty, of love, of joy and enjoyment. And the planet most associated with the sacral chakra is Venus herself. So we've got something quite important happening. At the moon gate, Venus is returning to the chakra, which most represents Venusian affairs and things. So she's coming home, if you like, to her home chakra. So this is an important one. So the sacral chakra is connected with the whole of the pelvis, with the whole sacral region of the body, with the sacrum, the bone which the ancients called the holy bone, and which they believed was the last bone of the body to decay, that it lasted longer than any other, and that it was an essential aspect of resurrection. Also, the kidneys, which we know are ruled by Libra, are also a part of this area of the body. Pregnancy, sex, all of those functions, but also art, creativity, all impulses towards beauty, towards creating, towards joy, sensuality, pleasures in life. They are all to be found at this chakra. So, no surprise then that if things aren't always in balance, this can also be the seat where we have obsessions and addictions and cravings and neuroses and something which the Buddhists call the hungry ghost. That is that part of us that feels it can never be satisfied, which is, as you can see, very linked to addiction. More and more and more and more, but it's not answering the need within us. So let's think a little bit about how and why this powerful and delightful chakra may also be the seat of issues for us, you know, fairly big issues for us. We may be repressed there, oppressed there, twisted out of shape there. And let's think of some of the reasons of why that might be. And I think the first big reason might be is the tradition of the Christian church to operate something, certainly from medieval times, called contemptu mundi, which means a contempt or dislike for everything to do with the earth. And the earth is seen as debased. And we all know the Eden story, of Adam and Eve's expulsion from paradise, this casting into sin, things which may have been very natural, beautiful, and pleasurable for people, suddenly becoming areas of guilt, shame, sin, things to be repressed, to be kept down. And in a sense, blighting that creative centre in people. And I'd like to illustrate this with a poem of William Blake's called The Garden of Love. And I do think that the sacral chakra could be seen as the garden of love. Because I think this beautifully says, well, it says it so much better than I will. So let me read it and share it with you. I went to the garden of love and saw what I never had seen. A chapel was built in the midst where I used to play on the green. And the gates of the chapel were shut, and thou shalt not writ over the door. So I turned from the garden of love that so many sweet flowers bore. And I saw it filled with graves and tombstones where flowers should be. And priests in black gowns were walking the rounds and binding with briars my joy and desires. I think that pretty well sums up for us some of the issues that certainly in the West here we can have relating to this chakra. And I think as Venus returns here, to quote another poet, a favourite poet of mine, Joni Mitchell, she sings, "Wash my guilt of Eden, wash and balance me." And as we shall see, this is quite an important function. I love the representation of Venus in the tarot. I hope we can see that clearly. Here she is enthroned. We see the symbol of Venus on her shield there. She's pregnant. She wears the stars of the Pleiades in her headdress. She's dressed in gorgeous robes. And about her, the earth itself is pregnant, abundant, burgeoning, growing. The whole of nature is growing around her. As precisely this force of nature, of the goddess in nature, that the early church could be so very opposed to and suspicious of, this world and its many joys. Those wonderful asteroid goddesses that are supporting Venus that we saw in the video on the new moon, which I did last, are still present. It's only 2 days later, and they're very much still in the picture now. So we still have Vesta close to the moon. We still have Black Moon Lilith close to Venus. They're all still in play there, championing the goddess, as it were, supporting many different aspects of the goddess. So that's all to the good. But what we should also be aware of is that Neptune, which is or can be seen as the higher octave of Venus, if Venus is love, earthly love, then Neptune is the highest love, higher spiritual love. And Neptune is opposite Venus, and she is challenging Venus. The type of love expressed can be raised, that there is high love to aspire to. So that challenge is coming from Neptune. We are also in Venus is also squared by Mars. Interesting. So the masculine and feminine energies are pulling, opposing the issues there. Not surprisingly, there are issues in our world. We know this. It's not news, is it? But they're very present at this moon as well. And there are issues there that really need healing. If we think of the way in which pornography, for instance, is absolutely proliferated all over the internet, and sex is used to sell everything. Everything is sort of sex is used as a marketing tool. And in pornography, very much removed from whole individuals and becoming more body parts, really, and not honouring the whole. Perhaps there's been too much of a journey down that path, perhaps to more of the sexual drive to reproduce your genes, your gene pool, that we'd find in the more reptilian behaviors of the lower elements of the root chakra. By the time we're getting to the sacral chakra, what we should be getting to is more to this card, the lovers, and more to an awareness of the other and of relationship with the other, of balancing and harmony. So this Mars-Venus opposition at the time of Venus's entry to the moon gate is calling us precisely to look at those energies and try to go some way towards their reconciliation and healing. The energies at this chakra are incredibly powerful. They ride us. If we think of the forces of nature, the impulses of nature, they ride us. We have to learn how to be with them. We are not the controlling force there. They are huge forces that sweep through us. And no wonder then that people can feel overpowered by them, or the victim of them, or if they suppress them, that they're suddenly acting out of dark places inside because the energy is blocked. It's become dark. It can't find a legitimate free expression, and so it can become twisted. I'd like to, I found a quotation just yesterday in this book, Descent to the Goddess by Sylvia Brenton Pereira. I've had this book for decades, and it never ceases to inform, instruct, and surprise me. But I found this quotation that I think is very interesting. It says, the person realizes that it is not his or her need or appetite for life that is at fault, but the fact that it was aimed towards the wrong source. So, what you're craving, what you think you're craving, is a distortion. It isn't actually what you're really craving, which, of course, is always that contact with the sublime, with that is greater than us. Venus, of course, and the moon are both in the sign of Libra, and Libra is the sign of the other, of relationship, of trying to seek balance between the self and the other in harmonious ways. And I think this card expresses a lot of the mutuality which ideally the Libra in the Venusian Libra and Venus is seeking. Let me get my words right, sorry. It's this balance. It's this what serves me serves you. It's this mutuality. It's not about power. It's not about exploitation. It's about balance. And can you see the healing staff of Hermes, the caduceus there? The healing staff that when two come together in mutuality, honoring each other, then this is the healing. And this is the kind of healing we can hope we can begin to instigate with Venus going into the moon gate. And the word that I think is absolutely key is honor. It is to honor the self. It is to honor the other. I do this when I say honor the other. This left and right brain coming together, the masculine and the feminine coming together. The God in me honors the God in you. It's Namaste. And that is the principle that brings the healing to the relationships at this chakra. And it is also the deep honoring of nature, which has been dishonored and abused. Just as the feminine has been abused, so nature, which is feminine, has been abused. And we need healing for that. And we need balance. And we need restoration. I said in my previous video that the new moon in Virgo, acting with Hygeia in Taurus, was the priestess in the temple, preparing the temple for the goddess to enter, cleansing, preparing. And I think this is a time when cleansing is needed, when healing is needed. So on the 5th, now I know last time Venus conjuncted the moon on the 5th of August. It was a little bit disappointing for me because the slither of the moon was so thin as almost not to be visible. And if you didn't catch Venus sort of directly, sort of almost before the sun had properly set, it was gone. And if you're anywhere near a blocked horizon, where there are houses or trees or anything, you hadn't a hope. I'm not sure how much better it will be on the 5th of September. I guess it depends where you are and how open your view is. But whether we can see her or not, we know that this gate is opening and that she is there. Lovely, of course, if we can see her. You will be able to see Venus, I think, a few days later on the 11th. She will be close to the moon then, but the moon will not be in Venus. The moon, I think, is in Sagittarius by then. So you may get a glimpse of her then. But hopefully also on the 5th. I do hope so. And as I said, the singing bowls are an excellent, very simple and not exactly time consuming way to retune that sacral chakra. And just to remind you that this isn't about the day that this happens on, this is about the entire month until Venus reaches the next moon gate, which will be the solar plexus chakra. So we have a month to be thinking about these issues, working them through within ourselves, maybe listening to the singing bowls when we get time. And in this way, we can and interact with these powerful magical energies and be a part of them. We are part of the magic. In fact, I'd go so far to say we're an essential part of the magic. Our consciousness is essential here. So I do hope you'll give it your all. And I think I will leave it there and wish you well, wish us all a healing time at this next moon gate. So I wish you goodbye for now.